Greetings of peace and welcome. My name is Anthea Alexander, and I'm joined by my co-host Yogi Sanjivana, also known as Sanji, and we're also joined by Rae Dalai. I hope I'm pronouncing Ray's name correctly. And she is from Queensland. Is that right?
Far North Queensland.
North Queensland. So welcome, Ray, and welcome, Sanji. So this is our weekly conversation event, an open conversation event, and it's a space that we created some months ago to have a regular get together where like minded people, and in fact, anybody can join us. It's a safe, sacred space, confidential, and we talk about issues that we are relevant to living consciously, which is our overarching theme, living consciously in 2025. And we've talked about lots and lots of different interesting topics from karma to compassion, which we're discussing the second part of tonight. What else have we talked about? We've talked about forgiveness. We've talked about lots of things, and the recordings are available on our YouTube channels if you'd like to take a look at them. So basically, that's the background to our event. A little bit more about me. I work as a wellness coach, so I help people to manage their weight, to lose weight, gain weight, maintain weight, also to increase their energy. And if they are working towards specific health goals, I can help them with that. I also have a special interest in emotional well-being and spirituality, and that was actually how Sanji and I connected. Sanji can introduce himself in a moment, but I also host a meditation session that is free for anybody to join on a Monday night, same time, 8 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. And so I'm really interested in meditation, all things spirituality. And I worked for a bit of a stint as an emotional well-being mentor, and so I have a really strong interest in emotional well-being. I will hand it over to Sandy to introduce himself, and then maybe we can get Ray to introduce herself as
Sure.
well and tell us a little bit about what she does. So I'll hand it to you for now, Sanji.
Oh, thank you so much, Anthea. So always a pleasure to be here, and we warmly welcome Ray. Thank you, Ray, for participating today. So yeah, and yeah, I'll just keep it brief. Like many people call me Sanjeev. So I'm a meditation teacher, and we do from mentoring, counseling, spiritual wise counseling, and even life coaching, and recently we started like doing wellness as a wellness coach also. And actually Anthea and me, we are doing something together, like we are both in like maybe Anthea can explain more. Even she's been there more than me, so we started like in the wellness program, and we want to help people more in that side also with nutrition and these kind of things. And we want to bring like collaborate or like connect with people who bring like natural remedies for people, natural products for people. So yeah, I also joined that. And the idea is, with all the spiritual things going around, we want to bring, like, because there are so many toxins, so many things happening. And when you talk to people also, it seems uh, uh, what we eat and drink, no, in a wholesome way also, it's like becoming toxins now. So if we can find ways and methods and solutions through wholesome things, people can live long, no, and they don't have to fall sick, and they don't have to have all these chemicals again to cure that. We get sick from chemicals, and then you need chemicals again, and then maybe you get more sick, right? So it's kind of like a joke in a way. So we use like our mental side and the physical, because the body is like our vehicle, no, in this journey. And here we are being as humans. Yesterday also we had a brilliant discussion with a couple of people, and there was a professor from India, and another gentleman from UK. So like we meet all these beautiful people now, and they are like in the wellness side and like homeopathy, acupuncture. This like then the professor he had started like few retreat centers in India to be with nature. So all these holistic practices. So it's very fascinating. Maybe you'll get a chance to interview that person also. So let's see. It's getting better and better. So Anthea, I would like to hand it over to you. If you like to just explain a little bit more of what we are doing together.
Sure, I can explain a little bit more. So basically, we work with an organization that is called the Lifestyle Management Group, and the philosophy of the organization is 80% nutrition, 20% movement, and 100% mindset, which is where meditation and reflection practices, journaling, self awareness, those sorts of practices come into it. And so it's very much as Sanji was talking about. It's targeting health holistically because we have a body that we have as our vehicle during this journey on Earth. We also have a beautiful mind that we want to feed with beautiful through mindset, through talking with amazing people, through reading great books, through listening to events like we are having tonight with beautiful, wholesome content, and also about feeding our spirit and our heart. So it's really holistically taking care of people who are wanting a bit more support in that area. All right. So now I would love to hand it over to Rae and hear a little bit about you, Rae, and what you do. So I had a look at your LinkedIn page and I read about what you do, and I'm quite fascinated by your experience and also what you're currently doing. But I don't want to talk about it. I would love to hear it first from you. So over to you, Rae.
Okay, thank you, Anthea. It's so lovely to be here with you. This is really my vibe. I'm feeling very at home. It's
Wonderful.
My background is I went nursing when I was 17 because I knew my parents couldn't afford to put me through uni, even though they said they would. And so I went nursing, and I did that. The plan was I'll just nurse until I figure out what I really want to do. So 35 years later, thoroughly disenfranchised with the whole health system. It's not about health anymore. It's about procedures, pharmacy, anything but a holistic look. I found that very frustrating, and it's just soul destroying, really. So I took up a couple of hobbies to try and keep my sanity, and one of them was pottery, and I absolutely fell in love with clay. And I managed to sidestep my way out of nursing, and now I'm a full-time ceramic artist. But I've used my past experience in my pottery in that I make ceramic pieces for the funeral industry. So cremation urns and wreaths and flowers for graves and little urns for babies and all that sort of stuff, because I'm a midwife as well. I've worked in all areas of nursing, so I've really got a broad background. So that was a very natural progression for me. I'm not afraid of that grief, life, death cycle at all because I've lived it for my whole life. Yeah. So, and I understand that grieving people are very raw, can be very raw, and that's fine. My business works around that. For example, I had a mum that contacted me. She wanted a custom urn made for her little baby, and she'd kept a handprint and a footprint. And she wanted one of those urns you can see behind me. We put a handprint on one side and a footprint on a different panel all the way around. But that baby, she'd lost that baby 15 years ago. And that's quite common that people will wait that long until they're ready to face that horrible moment in their life again. and turn it into a beautiful memorial to that little soul. Yeah, so that's what I do every day. And as opposed to nursing, which drained me constantly, all I could do was nurse. I couldn't do anything else. It took everything I had. And with ceramics and pottery, I have to force myself to come up and eat and have a shower and go to bed. Yeah. So it fills me up. So I lie in bed with this big smile, thinking I cannot wait to get up in the morning to go to work. So what a difference. It's just wonderful. Yeah. So I'm really loving my life. Yeah. And doing something I feel like I'm not helping millions of people at a time, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I make a difference to one a day, and that's perfect. Yeah, I'm very happy with that at the minute. Yeah.
I
So that's kind
really,
of my
yeah.
story.
Yes, I really thank you so much for sharing your story with us. And I really love your story. My mum, as I mentioned before, was a nurse. My late mother, she was a nurse and a midwife, and she used to come home from work and debrief with us about stories about what had happened and some of the little babies that had died. And yeah, so I grew up listening to her because she worked night shifts. So she would basically come home from her night shift and tell us the stories. And so I really resonate with that part of your story, Rae. And in terms of grief, I have experienced quite a bit of grief in my life as well. And I think that what you're doing to help people in their grief is truly noble, because it is a time when people are really, really vulnerable, and that they're needing kind, caring, patient souls who aren't afraid of grief, because that's the other side of the coin, that a lot of people are frightened of death, and they don't, when you lose someone, they don't know how to approach you, they don't know what to say, and they might have the best, most well-meaning things that desires and attitudes, but they just don't quite know how to deal with it. So I think that it sounds like you've really tapped into your life purpose, and that your nursing has given you almost like a foundation for this beautiful work that you do. I think it's more than work, it's a calling that you're doing now. So well done. Well done. So I'll just explain a little bit more. So our session tonight is about compassion. I think that fits in with Rae's calling as well, very much in terms of the way that she does her work, and also with myself and Sanji. So last week we talked about compassion, but we didn't quite get through as much of a discussion as we were hoping to. So we decided that this week we would have a part 2, and that's perfectly fine. And so this is a discussion for all three of us. So please feel free to speak up when you're wanting to. Sanji and I usually just sort of handball it to each other and sort of say what we want to say, and then say, well, what do you think about this? And so we can do that, quite organically. And yeah, I think I will just recap a little bit about what we talked about last week in our first episode. So we talked about compassion towards others and ourselves, and we talked about compassion, how it's viewed by different religious doctrines or different faiths. We also talked a little bit about in Buddhism, and went through the 4 Noble Truths. And I think we're going to talk about that. Sanji's going to cover that a little bit more tonight. We also wanted to discuss this evening the differences between empathy and compassion, and also altruism, because they're a little bit different. Whoops, my headphone just came out, my little earpod. A little bit different. But in terms of compassion, it's about it's when it comes down to it, the definition is about suffering with someone or a group of people, and it's having that empathy, but it's also about feeling compelled to ease the suffering of somebody. So it's like a real Sanji talked last week about your heart melting to want to help someone, and I think that really resonates beautifully, because that's an experience I've had with where I've just really had this huge desire to help somebody. So that's basically setting it up for this evening's discussion, but we're quite happy to talk about other aspects of compassion. So feel free to share your thoughts and ideas. So perhaps if we take it in turns to start with, but if somebody has something that they're wanting to jump in and say, just interrupt the conversation to say, or put your hand up perhaps, and just say, I really would like to, indicate that you'd really like to share something. So I'll hand it back over to Sanji for now, and I would love to hear what you've got to say about this topic at the moment, Sanji.
Sure. And we'll ask Rae also, like, what she thinks about compassion. Huh?
Sure.
So
Sure.
I found nice definitions about, but this is taking about the three topics we were telling: kindness, and then compassion and empathy. No. So kindness is like you want to be generous, helpful, considerate to people, and it's like the nature they have categorized it as nature, the nature of that also, like being action oriented, no. So a person can be like uh, they can try to help others in kindness, and they see the suffering of others, uh, and sorry the they sorry being generous, sorry, kindness is and helpful and considerate. And when you talk about compassion, a deep awareness of other people's suffering, and with the combination of the desire to help, and this has more emotion towards it, uh, and yeah the key point is like you want to reduce the suffering of the others. And when you take like uh, the compassion, there's like emotion as well as action also in there. And when you say empathy, like we get to ability to understand and share feelings of another person. So this is more emotional based. First one is like action based, then it's like the next one is emotional plus action. And then when we come to empathy, we can see that emotion, it's more towards emotion. So we try to comfort people like through difficult moments in their life, these kind of things. So coming back to compassion, Rae, what do you think about compassion? How do you like feel it or know it or express it?
Oh wow. So that's a hard subject. From a nursing perspective, you have to be really careful that you are empathetic and not sympathetic, because otherwise you give everything, it's gone in a week, and then you burn out and you can't help. So you have to keep some distance between you and the person, but empathy is fine. So you're understanding what they're going through without actually feeling it yourself. Yeah, and you have to have that to be functional. Yeah, having said that, I have cried with patients with different situations, and that's perfectly okay as well. And with even when they come to buy an urn, especially if the person they're buying the urn for has passed very recently. Yeah, I noticed some people are still in shock when they come, because the death was so unexpected. Yeah, so it's really important to go at their speed and just listen. And I always have to help them narrow their choice, because they just don't know what they want. They don't know what they need. And that's the best thing to ask, I think, for a person going through any sort of difficult period in their life, is you just need to keep saying, are you getting what you need? What do you need? Because you always know what you need in that moment. It might be a cup of tea. It might be, I don't know, and a shoulder to cry on, but people know what they need in the moment. Yeah, so that's kind of how I handle things. Always taking cues from the other person in an empathetic tone. Yeah. Mm.
That's really really insightful, and I love what you said about with nursing, how you can you can practice empathy, but if you get into the sort of compassion side, it's too much, and you'd burn out in such a short amount of time. And I really have such respect for nurses and healthcare professionals because especially working in hospitals, it's yeah, as you mentioned before, Ray, it's just changed. It's changed over the years, and yeah, and we could have discussions about other types of topics. Maybe we could even have a discussion about this, about the modern healthcare system and how it's changed in the past, however many years, even 50 years. And Sanji and I both have a real passion for natural medicine, and we love talking about different types of natural remedies. And yeah, which is basically what, years and years back, that's what we use because we use the plants and herbs and flowers that were local to us, and we knew, or we had like a wise person who knew how those plants, what their medicinal uses were, so that and then I suppose I'm talking hypothetically, I don't know exactly, but then we would have had healers who would have been able to set our bones for us if we broke our bones, and other types of injuries that we had, but we just didn't have the healthcare system that we have hundreds of years ago. It wasn't available. So yeah, but it would be a really interesting topic.
Yeah, like I was telling one person also recently, when I was like living in a faraway place, uh, there was like a healer or like a medicine person who came. Pray, like what did you mention, like sympathy and empathy? Could you elaborate a little bit more about that? It's very interesting
Oh,
when you said that.
yeah, you're ineffective if one of the most difficult patients I ever had. I tell a story to try and
Sure, no
illustrate my
problem.
point.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
this young man was brought in from, it was an industrial accident. He'd been run over by a crane,
Uh-huh.
and they laid him on he was in the emergency department. They wheeled him in and shifted him over. And the boy that I was going out with at the time was working in the same place. And in my head, it was him. It was my boyfriend lying there. It didn't even look like him.
Uh-huh.
So I was in full sympathy mode. Like, I was completely, because this was a life and death situation, and I was completely ineffective. I couldn't do, people were saying, get me a drip, get me a cannula, go and get this, and I couldn't do anything. So
Uh-huh.
it made me, I couldn't do my work. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So when you're empathetic, you're catering to the needs of that other person and putting yourself completely aside, which protects you, and you can do what is needed, yeah, without sacrificing anything of yourself. I think
Uh-huh.
you're a
So,
real help.
uh-huh. Anthea's back. Anthea, I was just asking because what Ray brought up was very nice. Like she said, like sympathy and empathy. So I just asked, like, what is like? Can you please elaborate on that? So she was
Oh,
explaining. So what do you think, like Ray? Like, what is the draining point here? Like, what happens? Why does a person like like sympathy and empathy? Like they are all like good things, no?
oh
But
yes.
what is the reason what a person can drain? Because sometimes when there's kindness, it's like a fountain. Like it just keeps coming and flowing and flowing and flowing. No, it doesn't reduce. But like, how does it drain? We are just doing this open discussion. Yeah, and you also please add into it.
I think kindness is a state of being. So,
Uh-huh.
and I also call that being centered. Because if you're centered in yourself and connected to your higher self, then you do have that, you're in the flow, that beautiful energy coming through you. You have limitless to give, but you're also a little bit aloof. You're not in the same place as the person you're being kind to. And that is a joy. That feeling is joyful for me. Yeah, it feels lovely. Yeah, but you're not being affected by what the other person is feeling. Whereas my definition of sympathy is you you so identify with what the other person is going through, you may as well be going through it yourself, and you're not much help. You're not often not as much help when you're in the same state of mind as the person you're trying to help. That's what I think of it anyway. Yeah.
Oh, thank you. Anthea, what do you think of sympathy and empathy or kindness?
So what I'm hearing from Rae is that sympathy is almost being sympathy is almost like being in the same boat with the person. So you're going through the same experience with them.
Mm-hmm.
And then empathy is about having just a bit of distance.
Mm-hmm.
So perhaps you're standing on the shore and you're watching someone rowing in a boat.
Mm-hmm.
So you can see what's happening to them, and you can see and you can imagine it, but you're got a bit of distance so that you can say, watch out, there's a shark, or watch out, there's a crocodile, or whatever there is. And then kindness, I immediately think of our hearts, and I feel it comes from our hearts. And I think it is like an energy, a very high vibrational energy, and it's wanting the best for other people. That's how I see kindness. Yeah.
Yeah, because please, Rae, please.
I'm going to say, I think that's your natural state. When you take away all your false beliefs or any pressures or blocks or whatever you want to call it, you sit it. That's where you are. That's human nature, is kindness. That's truly our nature. Yeah, it's just that other things get in our way from the way we've been brought up, etc. That makes it difficult for some people to access that. Certainly, no one that I know can access it all the time. Maybe Sanji, but no one else. I don't know you well enough, but maybe. Yeah. Sorry.
No, it's fine. So
he likes being teased.
Yeah, well,
he likes being teased, Rae.
I switch off the camera and no. So like sometimes we say like, oh, here this person comes with the sympathy card, no? So it seems like because some people like the poor me, I no, like it's like crying over. So then it's, oh, here they come with the sympathy card, or place the sympathy card now, no, or victim card. So what you both say is like quite. We can relate to those, no? Like some people like they just like bathe in the despair, or like some people are really strong, they come out of that situation and pull the other person also out. But empathy, kindness, it seems like you are in a better place and you really want to help this person, or you keep yourself in a better place, or that energy or nature that comes through you is very positive. And then because these are mentioned in ancient wisdom, these are called appamanya. Appamanya means like limitless. Appamanya they call. In many traditions they call. Metta, loving kindness, compassion, karuna. How to say, sympathetic joy, seeing the success of other, not feeling jealous. These are called appamanya. Like that, appamanya means like limitless. But when you are in the opposite side, like it is limiting you. Actually, that has a reason. Like, okay, see, if I see something, or like Rae is successful, and I wish like, not even like bad for Rae, I think like, oh my gosh, I don't have a pottery business or something. No, like I'm not talented like Rae or something. That limits me. It says like even in a next life, you don't even have to take that person into account. Oh, I don't have. Or like that limits you. But like you said, like kindness also, it's like it's like limitless. So there are sayings like the giver gives giving, only the recipient gets tired of receiving. It's wow, no, I get shivers when I say this, no, and nowadays they'll think it's a joke, no, but it's the opposite actually. This was said by ancient masters. They said like gurus and saints and all these beautiful people, and they said that the giver uh, keeps on giving. Only the recipient gets tired of receiving. Wow, no, to think of that. Yeah,
Yeah,
you.
that makes sense. But being kind doesn't mean you just do things for the other person. Sometimes kindness is not doing something, especially if they're begging. Well, they wouldn't be begging, but they're trying to manipulate you to do something. The kindest thing to do is not do it, so that then their lesson is presented to them, and they can see that they're actually trying to steal your energy instead of building their own. Because that's what poor me's are all about. They're all about stealing your energy. Yeah, they're energy vampires.
They sound like
Mm.
that.
Yeah.
And we don't say if somebody's like in like drug addictive state, then like, hey man, like, oh, give me just for my next shot or something. We can see like they're suffering and all, but we would not say like, hey, keep this and take your next shot. No,
That's
no,
right. That's not
yeah, no,
kindness.
that's
That's
not
right.
kind. That's like taking them to the grave or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's not
Mm.
kindness. No. But some people go through like a lot of trouble even because of their kindness. There's an ancient story also, like there was a saint story, and he was trying to save a scorpion, it seems, and the scorpion starts biting him, no, because that's what the scorpion knows, no, and his
Yep.
face was like red and everything, and like his hand was swelling, and a passerby asked like, what are you doing? No, like, are you stupid? No, like, can you not see like the scorpion stings? And then this person had said like, but he had actually somehow they saved it, and then said like, that is the quality of the scorpion, but that is not my quality. No, my quality is saving. So I did it at any cost. No, so there's something like that also, no, in a way.
Mm. Yeah, it gets complicated, doesn't it? Because sometimes the kindness is in a hospital situation is stopping treatment and allowing that person to pass over. That's kindness. That's hard. The family sometimes doesn't get what you're doing, doesn't understand that. They're trying to hold on. But it comes from their fear. But the kindest thing to do is to let that person or that cat or the dog or whoever is suffering at the end of their life, the kindness is allowing them to pass over. Lots
But
of
that,
aspects. We could be here for days.
yeah, that's like very debatable because some people, if they like stick a injection or something and say like, okay, you pass to the next life, that is also not reasonable. But if the person or the animal just wants to live, right? There are, like there are people without limbs, they still want to live.
Oh,
No,
yeah.
yeah. So yeah, naturally passing away is a different, but
Yeah.
we cannot take their lives for that reason. No.
Yes. Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah.
But we had to like let the natural process happen, but it's a very delicate situation, and the way we never know where the line is, no, for that.
It's hard, isn't it?
uh
I recently had a cat put down and I wish I hadn't. Like he was at the end of his life and he was suffering, but I should have kept him at home and just held him until he passed. But I'd never done it before. I took him to the vet and held him while the vet put him to sleep. It was awful. It was just horrific. I should have stayed at home and just let him go when he was ready. Yeah. Big lesson. All on
recently
an individual
uh,
basis. Yeah.
recently we had like it was going like a debate And there's my good friend, like this person was telling like to neuter animals, and so yeah, so they were, this person was putting like they would go and there will be so many cats and dogs around. So I just asked like, okay, then the humans also, should they also neuter themselves? What right do we have? So in a way it looks fine, but we don't have that right to do. No, who are we? Then we should stick that into ourselves and say like, I am like this, but still we don't have that right to do, right? Uh,
Heaps of people new to themselves.
Really?
Oh my God, yes. Thousands
uh,
and thousands of women have their tubes tied, or
uh,
yeah, people. Men not as well. Men have vasectomies. And they do it to themselves all the time. It's all about the choice whether to have children or not.
But we cannot decide on another person, right?
Oh no, not on another person.
No, it's
Oh, I've
horrible,
seen
right?
that done back in the old days. While they're doing a cesarean, if this was this mother's seventh child and the last six were taken from her, the doctor would tie her tubes without asking. When
Oh.
I first started nursing, that happened all the time. I was absolutely horrified. Oh, terrible. But yeah, it used to happen. Mm.
Yeah. Yeah. It's definitely a fine line, and it's sort of about whether you take things into your own hands or not, or let things flow their natural course. But we live and learn, and we learn from different experiences, and yeah, it's very, very interesting. So, Sanji, I would love to hear more about the four noble truths of Buddhism.
Oh.
Was that what you were going to talk a little bit more about?
We said like we'll do like maybe a couple of sessions or like discussions separately, but I can just
Okay.
give a briefing, yeah, because it is
Yeah,
about
sure.
compassion and
Mm,
relieving people, but it is like a universal thing because we all
okay.
go through
Yes.
whichever belief system, people, even animals, no, everybody goes through.
Yes,
So it was suffering, the cause of suffering, eradication
that's
of
right.
suffering, and the method of eradication. So many people in like especially 2000 years ago, there was a peak of like wisdom and everything that gathered, and everybody was seeking a way out. So there were two extremes, and there are some specific things like in ancient scriptures, documentations, and all, because they were later on they were documented, they were written down. So it says like people have views like different. It's like a net. It's called Brahmajala, like a net, interlinked, and so how many like viewpoints. So some people just say like you can do whatever you want and it's done. So you can be good or you can be bad. So many people had like many ideas, and they were categorized, and then you could separate into two categories, sorry. One extreme was like self indulgence. So you try to fill up your sensory dose, now also they do it to the maximum, and they say you go in depth and you get all the intoxications, the best food and everything, because you don't live forever. That was one. Even there were ascetics and all, they used to do these kind of things.
Okay.
Householders, they used to do. So they say
Yes.
like you go in because this is your last chance, no? So you have so there are people like that even now, right? Uh,
Mm.
and the opposite side is self annihilation. So those they used to go and live, and they used to even eat like cow dung and live like animals. They thought animals are innocent more than human beings, and they were taking the karmic factor. And they used to light lamps and maybe big fires like in the middle of the day, and just stay like they are like burning the defilements. So they will try to do, yeah, like I can see Ray's face now. And then it's like, oh my gosh, now who does that? No? And then those days they are done, and some we can see like some uh, res, remaining links still lost in some places, some countries, uh, because there you see some people with themselves, right? Some people even like you in on religious beliefs I saw even youngsters like going on a parade and they were like using sharp objects. And yeah, it's like horrible, no? It's like you're like paying for your sins. Uh, and so then, but it's still suffering. So when those stages of pain or like pleasure, when it ends or within that, it can bring suffering. No, the word of suffering was mentioned very in a very simple way, uh, in a very profound way. Like when he says suffering, it's people say no, 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 we are not suffering. Maybe somebody else is suffering. But here it's like the overall picture. What about the aging? What about sickness? Uh, what about death? So in all, then we don't we surely we have side that we feel happiness and all these things. But there is the opposite also that happens, right? Nobody can deny. Maybe they have some billionaire or somebody, but they have their own problems. Uh, Another person, no, a child has he or she has their own problems, no. So that doesn't mean everything is negative and or anything like that. So there is a reason for that. It doesn't just happen. So the reason is supposed was always like craving, tanha. They craving for those in a way like how to say like uh, when we don't have something also we crave for it. Huh? And when we have it also to protect it and all these things or just keep that, there's craving involved. And sometimes when we have it and when we lose it, then also it becomes a big problem, no? So then there should be a way if these two extremes are also not successful, because now also even in our places we can just people go to like eating habits, no patterns, or sometimes they just deny, no, no, I won't eat, no, I'll starve myself or anything. That is also because, like we said in the previous uh, topic or what we were talking, you cannot place a line that, okay, this is your craving or my craving is better than yours. Or we cannot say it is upon each other. Say a person is having three meals. So a person who is having two meals can look at that person and say, like, you are greedy. Why do you eat three meals? And the person who is eating three meals can look at a person who is eating two meals and say, you are like self-annihilating yourself. Why are you starving yourself? So we never know, right? So person can be happy with three meals. That doesn't mean they are still greedy. A person who is happy with two meals, uh, they can be like very healthy and all, and they are not hungry or starving, no, they are not self-hurting themselves. So each individual will have to look into their life and decide. We cannot decide for another, no. And so the way people are seeking, and then it came to a way like to, so one end belong to the greedy side, one end belong to the anger side. And then within that, we have to find a way, navigate a way that is balanced and the middle. So that's why a path came up, like it's called the middle length path. Huh? So not falling into those either ends of it. So that's why mindfulness, contentment, all these things, wise reflection and everything applies. And that even from the momentary, so actually the eradication of craving is actually the final stage is enlightenment, uh, but in present moment also there are stages of happiness. Enlightenment, if you put it as if like a eternal happiness, but still there are stages like we can be happy in the present moment also, which leads you can build it up. So that becomes our middle path. It can vary from person to person, and there's like a common aspect also in that. Uh, and then it makes the path how to do it. So it's like your view changes, your thinking changes, the things we talk, the actions, our livelihood also uh, fixes accordingly. And then whatever our effort towards that changes. Uh, then the concentration changes oh, the mindfulness changes. So this can bring like momentary happiness and peace. And the same thing, you can expand it and reach any religious or any kind of belief, or any goal you want to reach. And it can lead to like because it's the same thing, but you, how to say, project it out as far as possible you need to. And if somebody really wants to reach enlightenment and all, that is also can be done. Uh, or any union of any kind or anything that makes them peaceful, it can be done. So that is like a brief way of talking about it. So yeah, there's a lot of kindness, compassion involved. So being like empathy and kindness even to oneself, because they say this is a temporary vessel, our body, and it is on like a lease actually. At some point we have to hand it over. So usually like something it belongs to us, sometimes we are not very careful, but sometimes when you lease it, but sometimes it's vice versa, no? Some people when they rent it or lease it, they do the worst, no, for that. But sometimes when you understand it doesn't really belong to you, you have to hand it over properly, no? If it doesn't belong to you, totally belongs to you, so then we take more good care of our bodies even. Say like somebody goes to a rental and sometimes they destroy the whole place, maybe, no, B&B or something. They make a mess of it. But say that, okay, like you have to pay some fines and you have to be very careful, you go under some regulations. Then you are like, oh, okay, I had returned this. Yeah, then I had to pay like the whole car's amount or something, or lawsuit might come. You might be even more careful, right? So like that, this also, like if we are not careful, we can end up with critical illnesses. The karmic factor can affect a lot of things, but some people don't know this. They say, oh, never mind who matters, but they can end up in jail even, no? Because they cannot pay those laws. So there are so many things involved. But we can use this wisely, the body and the mind, and we can navigate through that, even having all the things we like, even, or good things we want to do even in life. Actually, that comes to a place of compassion, kindness, and what we do to ourselves will expand towards others. Because the universe and all, it's like you bounce a rubber ball or something onto a wall, no? And it bounces back, right? Maybe not even a rubber ball, no? Leather ball, maybe, no? Or a coconut. What do you all think about this?
I think it's fascinating. And now that you've explained it a little bit more, I can see how it is a universal concept, a way of moving through life that is like a middle path. And so I'll just explain to Rae. So I was raised as a Catholic, and basically decided my late husband took his own life after a battle with depression. And at that stage, I decided that I was going to, I explored Islam as a faith, and I decided to convert to Islam, which I did in 2013. And now that Sandy has discussed like the middle path, and they often describe following like traditional Islamic teachings as the middle road, because it's not going to the extreme. It's not going to like the extreme in indulgence. It's not going into the extreme in punishing ourselves. It's about living life, being contented, but just it's still a road towards becoming eventually unified with Allah or God or whoever you believe in, doing the right things. And it's about being kind and considerate to yourself. And also what you were talking about as our body being like on loan to us. it's been given to us as like our clothes or our vehicle for this journey in life. And if you believe in that we have more than one life, then we would receive more than one body to take care of. It might be different types of bodies, so it might be types of animals' bodies, human bodies. And also that I've also heard about Islamic teaching saying that, yeah, we're supposed to take a really, really great care of our bodies and hand it back to God in the best way possible. So it is like a form of worship to take care of our bodies because we're really, really revering our bodies and our creator. So it is making a lot more sense now that you've explained it like that, Sanji. So thank you very much for doing that. And I'm also thinking that we could almost have an entire session on that topic as well.
Rae, what do you think about that? We can discuss it openly, yeah? So we can totally agree to disagree even, no problem. Yeah, it's an open discussion, no?
Have you read the book by Michael Domenico Rowland about the body-mind instrument? And that, yeah, it's about experiencing life through your mind, through your body, through your senses. It aligns with what you guys are saying about revering your vessel. I had not a vision, but an epiphany. I thought a download, whatever you want to call it, when I was meditating the other day, and that the structure of the universe, and that I like the Mayan principle of the Hanab-Ku, which is the galactic butterfly. So that is the center of all creation. So God is a creator, and it's evolving and learning as we go. And we are like drones. We're all sent out from the central intelligence, the Hanab-Ku, to gather information. So that's why we have so many varied experiences and different learnings, and everybody's life is so different. And then when we die, we go back and download what our experiences into the central intelligence. Yeah, it just came to me the other day. So that kind of fits in. That's kind of how I'm trying to digest that and put that in perspective for me now. But that's how I think it kind of works. That's how the only way I can wrestle with the concept of a God. Yeah, that makes sense to me. That it's a central thing, that it's evolving all the time. That's why the universe is expanding. And it may not be one universe out there. We may just have one God, and way over there is a different one. I don't know. That's too far, isn't it? That's mind blowing.
No, it's okay. Like, no, how you see it, no?
Yeah, that's what I twigged in meditation the other day. Makes sense to me.
Yeah, thank you for sharing, Rae.
It's all right. Yeah, go ahead, Rae.
Oh, it's all right.
You're right.
No, please.
It kind of excuses bad behaviour in people that wreck their vessels, because they're just having this massive experience, this massive life, good, bad, and ugly, whatever. It's all just gathering experience to take back and process and learn from. Yeah, sorry. You go, Anthea.
No, like, which is true, no? Like, we cannot even commit suicide, huh? Like, like if you commit, I'm not telling it's a good thing, and nobody should do it. It's horrible. But even if you try to commit suicide, I don't know how it's over there. I'm sure there's things like that. If you try to commit suicide here, and then and if you survive, you are in deep trouble. Nobody should do that actually. But like, you have to then go to the police, like sign a book like once a month. Really? Yeah, because so it says, like, that also says by law the body is really not yours, no? So if you had to go and sign on a book, but they are doing on the well-being of the person, but it says like you cannot just remove yourself or press the delete button like that, no? So it is like we have to be accountable, no? So,
Yes.
and in like karmic sense also, it says like some places it's explained like if you are thirsty, it's like drinking lava, like very destructive. Craving in the sense like the how to say the stingy, not stingy, like the greed part is considered as if you are thirsty, you drink salt water. If you keep on drinking salt water, you still become more and more thirsty. There's no end of it, right? But
Yeah.
this is considered like you are drinking some melted metal or something like lava, and it's very destructive. Uh, so, but actually, we are not supposed or we are not allowed to do that even. We cannot just eliminate ourselves. Uh, so, even by law, no?
Mm.
Yeah, yeah. Sorry, Auntie, I think I jumped in when you were saying something.
That's perfectly fine. That's perfectly fine. So I was just going to say we've talked for about an hour. So
Uh-huh.
I was just going to point that out. If
Sure.
but if we want to keep talking, that's perfectly fine. If we've got other things that we're wanting to cover,
Uh,
or perhaps if we want to talk about compassion again next week, we can do that.
mhm,
I've just made some other notes about other topics that that has come to me through
mhm.
from our discussion this evening
Today.
or this
Mm,
afternoon for you. And that has been I had also attachment. So, but we talked about that last week. Potentially another topic. So more topics are coming up.
mm,
Yeah, so what I was thinking of was it would be really quite amazing to perhaps talk about grief and loss. I would love
mhm.
for Rae to perhaps join us
Yeah,
when we
sure. No?
talk about that because
Uh-huh.
she works closely with people that are experiencing grief and loss. And
Mm.
that's a topic that Sanji and I haven't really, like, we've talked about it through our
Mhm,
various other topics, but we haven't dealt with it
mhm,
directly. So yeah, I was thinking about that.
mm. Maybe next week
Okay,
we can do about grief and loss, right?
we can do about grief and loss next
Uh-huh.
week. Sure. Rae, are
Ray,
you available next
Yeah,
Friday?
I'm in, definitely.
All
I've,
right,
okay.
I've
cool.
Uh-huh.
penciled you in for every Friday ad infinitum.
Oh, wonderful.
Well done. Wow. Wowee. What a compliment.
uh, sure.
Yeah. So, but in terms of winding it up for tonight, did you have Sanji or Rae any sort of final insights or comments that you might like to add
Mhm.
about compassion?
Ray, please.
You know what? The hardest person to have compassion for is myself.
Mhm,
And that's been a big lesson in the last couple of months because I got really unwell and
mhm,
I tried, because you're taught to tough it, yeah, soldier on. But if I had continued to soldier on, I would have gotten really sick and died. And I had to make the decision to have some surgery, actually. Oh, sorry, Sanji.
mhm,
I had to have some surgery. When lucky I did because I
mhm,
was not doing very well with all my Ayurvedic medicine and acupuncture. I tried all that, but
mhm.
the problem, I had a rotten gallbladder. It was no good. So
Oh,
I had to take that out. But yeah, very compassion for myself has been the most difficult lesson for me. I blame myself for everything because I understand that I create my own life, right? So therefore, I create every disaster, every bad thing is my fault, and that's no way to live. Like that's not being compassionate. So that's been my biggest lesson.
mhm.
Yeah, lately,
So
my most
when was this
recent lesson.
operation, Ray?
What was it?
When was the operation?
4 weeks ago.
4 weeks. Oh, we didn't know. So,
Mm,
uh,
yep, recently.
uh,
Yeah, it was the right decision because the whole
sure,
the
sure.
whole thing was not traumatic at all. It was everything went like clockwork. There was no pain post-op. I opened my eyes in the recovery room and standing at the end of the bed were my two best friends that I used to work with in
Okay.
intensive care. They both of them. It was like it was a miracle. Yeah, so best thing, and I'm so well now. was absolutely the right thing to do. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you for
Yeah.
sharing. Sorry, we didn't know
Yeah, thank
about
you.
your operation, no?
It wasn't a big deal.
Big deal.
Wasn't. No, it was just right. That's the next step. So we'll do that. And that's surgery. That's one good thing about Western medicine is emergency care and surgical care is excellent. It really cuts corners and gets you better much faster, like setting bones and chopping out infected organs and things. Yeah, I must say it's better than any other type of medicine, I think.
Yeah.
But it's still not holistic enough.
No, it's fine. No, you got to do what you got to do, no? Yeah,
Yeah,
as last resort, sometimes you end up in the hospital, no? So
I
yeah.
tried everything else. I didn't have enough time to
Sure.
heal myself. Yeah.
Uh,
I'd left it too long. I didn't know I was so unwell. Yeah. But compassion for yourself, I think we should not forget that. It's very important.
And
Really, really important.
last thoughts, I'll hand it over to you. Like, we leave the best for last, no? Like Anthea, and then yeah, like I think like the world needs a lot of kindness, compassion, empathy.
Yeah.
Now we are lacking it. It's become so artificial, even for oneself. Even if it's like as such, like if you put some fertilizer or something, even water, no, like too much to a plant, the plant dies, right? It needs a balance of sunlight, water, maybe nutrition in a balanced way. So, like that, a life either for another person or ourselves, we need a balance, and that is also a lot of kindness, compassion, all together. And for another person, surely. So, I think the world needs a lot of, even for the trees and everything, environment, everything. We have to show some kindness. No, otherwise, it tries to show us, no, in all ways possible, but I think there will be a limit, no? And then it is showing, because it's not doing it on purpose, no? Mother Nature or anything. But if we push the limits so further and further and further, all these wars, the toxins, one explosion, they say about plastics and all, but one explosion, how many years to recover from that, no? And this is like uh, going every day, happening every day in all parts of the many parts of the world, no? And how are you going to come out of, still there are like residues from First World War, and those areas people cannot even reach, or it's still toxic. So this is like 1914 or 13, no? uh, so here we are, like, so Second World War, all these wars we had, and now we are having more. So what about the people, no, the humans, the children and all that? You can say this person from that side, this person from, but goodness, like they are humans, right? uh, Whichever side they are, and they are not responsible for the politics and politicians and all this. So we need like kindness so much, and definitely for ourselves also, and for the others. So yeah, as last something to say, we, and there are specific meditations to cultivate it. For example, there are like from ancient times, you, this just one verse, it says like uh, dukkha munchantu. Dukkha munchantu means like may he or she be free from suffering. Or first yourself, you practice on yourself. May I free from suffering. Dukkha means like that. Munchantu means freedom. Then you take a person who's actually in some difficulty, physically, mentally, socially, economically, or anything, and then you focus on that person, and you wish like may she be free from her suffering or difficult suffering is the word there. So then actually there's a, it it actually happens for the external being, the meditation part. Then it's like really starts growing, and you can end up in very strong concentration levels. And then you take like a person who is like in suffering, then you take a person who's in, who you have like some closeness, and then a neutral person, and the person you don't like even, uh, but the same kind of mentality or concentration appears to all categories without a different, not like different spoons for each person. Person I like gets more compassion or kindness. No, Even the person I don't like, you don't have to hate them, but you don't want to associate or anything, but they get still the same spoonful. Uh, Not a whack on the head or something with a spoon, no? Like, and then, yeah, so then like, yeah, you really have kindness. That's a way of knowing even. Because how can we measure, no? How can we say? But we have a natural tendency, even in the people we seem like the most cold, have the hearts of stone, hearts so cold. But we actually, as human beings, and even in animals, they have this kindness within. Only that for some reason it gets like frozen, or it can like become like stone, and we say like, oh, look at this person doesn't have any kind like stone so cold, but actually they have, it just has to melt and come out. And so through practice like that, or like really seeing other people doing kind acts, or even words, some people ask like, what is wrong with swearing? No, uh, but that is swearing, no? It can be a normal thing, but a kind word is better, no? If you can swear but we have a vocabulary of words, no? So why not use a kind word? Even animals respond to those. Even plants respond. Even water crystallizes in a different way. They have checked like you swear words and all these things. It's the crystallization is different. Even the plants with the no, like they don't grow properly. But you say, and in the ancient days, like there was a little two parakeets, like little parrots. They had got caught in a storm, and one, like the king and the people, they went hunting, it seems, and then they suddenly went to a place. They got lost in the forest, and they saw like a small place where there were houses. And when they came there, what happened was like they heard like, kill them, destroy them, capture them, and they were afraid. No, they didn't know, but there was nobody in that village, but it was just a little parrot, or like a parrot, and they were thinking like, what is wrong with this parrot, no? But they could not find, so they were going. They came to another village, it seems, and then they also like they heard a sound like, please come, have a seat. Are you thirsty? Or would you like to eat something? Really? And they were like, what is this? Then it was another parrot, it says, no? And they like inquired like what happened, and it was, they got to know like one landed in a place like a place where actually thieves were living, uh, and then the other landed in a good place like where like hermits were living. So it really, for animals also, it really, it has for children and all, no? Yeah, yes. So a little bit of, I saw like a small verse also. If in the entire universe, if you can be something, be kind. It's beautiful, isn't it?
Yes.
So we'll go like call Anthea, and no, we left the best for last.
All right. So I just wanted to say thank you both for joining us this evening, and that we really we really hope and pray that this podcast, this open conversation event, is of benefit to people to all three of us, and also to others who may watch it in the future. And I would just like to end on a prayer. May God surround us all with compassion, and infuse and embrace our hearts with compassion. And may He protect and embrace all of His or her creations with compassion, the plants, the birds, the animals, the human beings, the stars, the water, the trees, and may we all be kind to one another. Amen.
Thank you so much.
Beautiful.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you.
Thank you, everybody, and thank you, Rae, for participating today, and thank you, Anthea, as always, and for anybody who's watching this. And we'll add even Ray's details to the post as well as, and we did like an interview with Rae, and those details are also there. So for anybody to watch and just to be inspired, or just even know many things about her life, or even follow her on the path she followed. No, so so we'll put those details so anybody can reach any of us, and we wish everybody have a beautiful day and all the best for all. Okay, thank you.